Hi, my name's Juliet Grayson, and this is number 26 in Juliet's Musings, and it's about staying steady in the storm, managing escalation and aggression in couples therapy. And I'm going to give you a practical kind of sense of some things that I do. It's rare, very, very rare, that the aggression really escalates. I did have one couple, he'd been done for GBH, and she decided to tell him in the therapy room that she was having an affair with her German colleague. And I, in those days, lived in Kingston near Heathrow Airport. And he stood up and he said, "I'm going to go to the airport now. I'm going to go and get on a plane. I'm going to beat him up." And given that he'd been done for violence in the past, I knew this was a real possibility. I stayed sitting. I stayed breathing. I wonder now if I should have stood up. But anyway, I stayed sitting. And I said, "Look, you need to know that if the police ever come and ask me, I would have to tell them what I'd heard." That sobered him and made him think about the consequences, and he sat down and we carried on the rest of the session. So this is staying steady in the storm, managing escalation and aggression. So working with high intense conflict in couples can be demanding, and what's really important is to set clear boundaries and expectations from the start, because what this does is it creates safety for you as a therapist, but it also creates safety for them as clients. And I'm going to talk about a few things that I do. So one is to set boundaries and expectations from the start, that you're expecting respectful engagement, and put those guidelines in your contract and you can refer to that. And then make it very clear to them that raised voices, insults and crosstalk are not permitted. So obviously a little bit of that's fine. It's quite useful because it lets me know what's going on for a couple and I get a sense of how they react in normal life. But if it's going on all the time, it just gets in the way of the therapy. So establishing a speaker-listener structure, so they take turns in talking and listening, can be really helpful. And I even sometimes give them something to hold, a stick or something or a glass, and they can only talk when they've got the glass, and then they have to hand it over to their partner. I let couples know that I'm going to intervene if the conflict escalates, and I'll do things like this. I'll say, "Let's take time out," and I use a T signal. And I tell them my role is not to referee, but to help them learn respectful dialogue and emotional regulation. So I teach them. I do a bit of psychoeducation about that. I want to really model safety and regulation in myself. So I'm calm, I'm grounded in my body language and tone of voice. I might take my voice up to match them in volume, but I just keep one level down below them, and it's a conscious act. I might signal pauses. Let's take a pause and put my hand out. I might lean forward to kind of break up the dynamic between the two of them. And if escalation continues, then I suggest, why don't you leave the room and regulate so that you can settle yourself down. One of the things I do is I want to protect my own nervous system. If the couple completely disregard the boundaries, I might consider referring them for individual work, or I might do individual work with them myself. Probably better to refer them on to someone else for the individual work, and then I start the joint sessions again. There are some one-liners that will help to de-escalate conflict. So I say, "Let's take a pause and breathe together." And I model the breathing out, because the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, gets kicked in on the breathing out. So I teach them about long out breaths. I might say, "I can see this is really important. Let's find a way to discuss this safely." I might say, "I'm here to help you both. Can we take a moment to calm down?" I might say, "Hold on. Let's focus on understanding each other." I might say, "I'm going to jump in here." I might say, okay, let's slow this down. Or I might even go, whoa, stop, enough. And I'm using psychoeducation and grounding. I'm going to teach them about flooding and emotional hijacking and help them understand that window of tolerance. And when they're leaving it, either going into a freeze situation or they're getting too exercise and excited, and I help them learn the physical warning signs: racing heart, shallow breathing, muscle tension. I'm going to ground them and help them practice self-soothing techniques. I might use a visual thing on like a thermometer, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you now? I'm encouraging them to become aware and to practice these skills between sessions. And then what's really important is my presence, using hand signals, silence, and increased authority. I want to validate their emotion while redirecting their behaviour. I can hear that's really important to you, but we need to slow down so that you can be heard. And that silence can be really helpful. It can really help people realise just how intense it's all got. And when the calm returns, I acknowledge what's just happened. Thank you for showing me how quickly things can escalate. This is what we need to work on together. So, in early sessions, I'm teaching them and practicing regulation and communication skills before tackling those high-intensity topics. I revisit the agreements and update them as their trust and skill develop. And, of course, I need to have supervision and explore my own reactions and my own boundaries with volatile couples. It's really important I'm noticing my own arousal level. I can't co-regulate them from if I'm dysregulated. So I want to step in before chaos overwhelms the space. And if you're a therapist who finds repeated aggression intolerable or unsafe, then the best thing is that you refer them on to someone else. Your safety and nervous system matter too. And every couple is different, but stay grounded and reflect on, in supervision, what helps this unique pair to re-find their connection. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this. One of the modules that we focus on conflict is in my 6-modular series in working with couples. There's one called Couples in Conflict. So if you're interested, then it might be worth looking at that. And I love getting feedback, so let me know how this lands. And there's a link, https://bit.ly, so bit.ly, bit.ly/ Juliet Muses, Juliet Muses. Thanks very much. Take care. Wishing you well. Bye.